just occurred to me it would be easy to film this before I put the shelf that's going under the bed and the bed itself in place, because it'd be a bit more awkward to do so without sort of landing me back and messing about. So, as I mentioned earlier on, this cabinet is what reincarnation fit in the Peugeot Boxer type conversions. They normally fit 2 of these, one with Genesis modules in, one with a whole bunch of relays, and this fuse board. Well, I did a piece of work, in fact I've done a piece of work on 2 identical ambulances, and I can't remember which one this came out of, but I kept it, threw the original away, thinking, load of crap, don't need it. But I had to play around with this fuse board and decided that might be usable. The fuses themselves are the resettable type, and there is also, if I can get the camera down to it, just there are 2 buttons. You can actually test the circuits for the fuses to see if any of the fuses are blown. There's an LED below each fuse. It's a handy little feature. Not sure whether it will actually be usable or not, but it's given me the option just to make use of something rather than buy another fuse board. These fuses on the right, although I'm just using them as spare fuse holders, there's nothing in that plug. These are for fusing the earth side of circuits. I haven't got any need for it, so I haven't used them. Then to the left of those 2 buttons there's a ground and a live feed. That's the actual that just supplies power to those 2 buttons and to the circuit that powers up the LEDs, otherwise they're redundant. Then you've got a couple of multi-plug connectors which I've now spliced into the vehicle's ledger harness, and that provides me my outputs to my various devices. There's a couple of fuse holders on the left that are redundant in each circuit, and you'll notice it's broken down to 3 banks. You've got bank 1, bank 2 and the ground bank, and it's just a convenient way to get some fuses wired in. Then above that I've got Sterling B2B, 3 isolation switches, and I'm annoyed with myself, I didn't buy enough switches all at once. This is my original switch I bought. That's currently off because I'm not actually using the solar panels at the moment, and if I turn it on it just goes down like that through 90 degrees. Those ones go through about 165 degrees, so when they're off they're over here, the same as that one was, but when they're on they're like that, and that's just annoying. I'll probably end up changing those at some point in time. And then that thing down there, you can just see the LED on at the moment. That's an Abumail AMT12 chassis battery maintainer. It's configurable. You can set it up for different types of vehicle, whether it be smart alternator or standard alternator, and you can also tell it whether you're using a lithium leisure battery or a lead acid leisure battery, and it just sets different trigger points for when it actually charges. At the moment this thing triggers at a voltage of around about 13.2 volts, which is ideal because that's what my lithium battery sits at all the time unless it's really depleted. So even without the PV array on, it's now on, but previously with that switch off it was not on. Even with the PV array on, this lithium battery needs to come down to probably 50, 60, no, even less than that, probably about 40% before the voltage drops below 13.2. So it keeps my chassis battery charged nicely, even if I'm not charging via solar for days and days and days. And the whole point of this was just to save space. I haven't decided yet where the battery's going, which is why it was tucked in here previously. It may go under the sink, or I may actually put it nearer the calorifier, because one thing with lithium is you need to keep them warm, and I want to find a way to provide a little bit of heat to it from something. Ideally borrowed heat from the calorifier would be ideal. I just haven't decided, and that's why it's on these extending trailing leads at the moment. Anyway, the way this works, very, very simple. It's only got a plastic cable tie holding at the moment because the proper clip will go in once the bed frame's in place. Let me move this cable out of the way. Stay with me a second. Come on, cable. There she goes. I'll put the phone down. That's all done. So this folds forward through 45 degrees. Back of the switches are all isolated with rubber caps. Fuse for the inverter. Little coil up the wire there, which is the temperature probe that goes to the negative on the battery. That's for the Sterling battery charger. Not 100% necessary. Lithium profiles don't rely on temperature compensation, but the Stirling, when set to lithium, does have the ability, if the temperature goes down to 0C, it won't switch on, which is just useful, even though the BMS in this particular battery does have low temp disconnect as well. There's my Cotec inverter. I did a little video on the fan that I fitted in this, or the delay circuit for the fan that I fitted in this. I've since added this cable here. I've basically taken a remote switch out to the front of the van where I can turn it on and off, simply because it's not going to be practical to try and get to the original switch that's there. Then I've got this satellite controller here. My water inlet is there, and I can get to everything with this folded down. I can get 2 things in here should I ever need to. Hopefully I won't, but you never know. And then, don't know how many people are familiar with those. 30-amp junction box. Found it in the garage, thought, well, that'll do. And that's my mains connection. That's the mains from the inverter going out to my 3 sockets in the van. One at the front, one going out to the fridge, and one going up to the television, because I'm quite happy to use mains. And then all the cabling that I've run through the van is all presented in conduit, and I've left. One of the advantages of having this folding thing is you can leave tucked away plenty of spare, and I've got a whole set of cables there for spares for the future. And then that just works, and it saved me a bit of space. If I hadn't put the water tank in here, then I'd have been able to use all that area over there quite easily, but I'm keeping all that reserved for other bits and pieces. And then also I've got a food storage cupboard down there between the edge of the bed. So I'm just juggling with space. But there you are. That's how this setup is going to work in this van. And as I mentioned earlier, haven't decided yet where the battery's going to go. If I was going to do this again, I would have bought 200 amp batteries instead of one 200 amp battery. They're much easier to place. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching.